What is the most NSFW thing you've seen happen in a school environment? Friend of mine used to finger his girlfriend in class basically every day. Got the occasional handy. They were sitting right in front of me one time and I gave her a look. And she says, "Don't look if you don't want to see it." They were between me and the blackboard. What was I supposed to do? You should have winked. Middle school in the early 1990s science class was a big room divided in two with a large curtain-type wall. Me and a friend sat on the end and you could see into the next class. Some students in the next class could see us. School friend decided to flash his bush, must have just grown it. Girl in next class over we knew one-upped him by flashing us her bush. Good times. Trading Pokemon cards for a handjob. Sign me the up. A couple years ago as a senior prank, a kid jacked off into one of the communal tubs of ranch. A couple years before that, a teacher was arrested for offering girls good grades in exchange for blowjobs. This is kind of a weird one, but in 7th grade one was friends with a girl who had a very serious porn addiction. This was before smartphones, but she would carry around folded up pictures cut from magazines to mostly women, but some men in her bag to look at, and I assume try to get off to any time she was alone, which was usually in the bathroom stall. It was the same way when I was at her house, except she would just take breaks every now and then to literally just walk into the closet and shut the door. It was very bizarre in retrospect, but in 7th grade you don't really have a baseline for well-adjusted behavior, so honestly I didn't think anything about it. One of my friends during our junior year of high school whipped out his dick under his desk to show his then, so for some ungodly reason, she screamed for a split second, which prompted the teacher to come over. He looked like he was about to freak when he finally mustered out one word: no. Sent him and his sir to the office. One kid caught a glimpse of it, and from there on out, his name was Needle Dick Nick. A substitute teacher get fired for taking pictures of kids. In one of my classes I had him as a sub for a few days, and I remember the first day he taught us he made each of us get up and stand with our back facing the door of the room. He'd take the picture and we'd sit back down. I didn't think about this till years later. Someone that I went to school with brought it up and I asked my mom if she remembered, and she did. She told me she had got a call and letter from the school asking if I had said anything to her about that sub or was interested in talking to the police. Here is a story for you. Grade 10 history class. The last day before winter break. Since it's the last day, we were just watching movies as a class. Some Bugs Bunny World War II propaganda films or something. The teacher is just sitting at her desk not really doing anything. Our desks are sort of arranged in a U, and I'm sitting on one of the corners. There is a very skinny white boy named Rudolph, obviously not his real name, and a fat sassy black girl named Dasha, also not real name, right next to him. Rudolph had a lot of problems in his home life and came to school plastered a few times and was generally weird. And I don't think these two got on very well. Rudolph decided that they should play the Are You Nervous game. For those who don't know, that's when you slide your hand up someone's thigh until that person gets nervous and loses. So Rudolph goes first. And I'm kinda half watching the movie. And Dasha stops before he gets too close to her V. Then Dasha goes. And Rudolph kinda whispers, "You're literally going to have to touch my balls before I say it." I expected the game to end there. Her calling him a perv or something. But no, she unzips his pants while nervously looking at the teacher. I immediately text my friends in class to look at this shit. And now 4 of us are watching. She then very evidently starts giving Rudolph a manual meat massage for 2 minutes, before pulling her hand out and wiping it on his pants. Nobody ever said anything. They never really talked again. Nada. Manual meat massage. Welcome to my vernacular, you beautiful bastard. I went to an all-boys Catholic school. One night, my senior year, when all of us dorks were working late on the yearbook, I walked into the bathroom to see 2 boys a year below me wrestling on the ground, one still in his boxers and the other with his boxers at his ankles. They never saw me. Sometimes people are too focused on things that they don't notice their clothes coming off. Happens to the best of us. Once during a class meeting, one kid ripped out some of his pubes to prove to another kid that he did in fact have pubes, asserting dominance to win the argument. Back in high school, there were these two band kids that were constantly flirting and everyone told them to get a room. Apparently that translated to go in the special ed room during practice. They got caught after the janitor had to come clean up afterwards. Apparently, it wasn't a very clean ordeal. They were both suspended the next day and she had a pregnancy scare a couple weeks later. Kid used to snort lines of coke in the middle of college algebra. Many years ago, but in swim class one girl's swim costume went almost totally see-through when wet. 15-year-old me was quite transfixed. I saw see-through nipples and large bouncing tits on a hot chick in class when we had swimming in high school. I guess no one told her, but to be fair I think everyone saw my boner too. I doubt anyone was close enough to notice it. Girl busts out of a room, storms through the room we were gathered in, spits in another girl's face and says that's your boyfriend's load. Jaws hit the floor, and the other girl cried. Friend's brother was caught his girlfriend in the female bathroom. They were both suspended on different days to make sure they wouldn't on suspended days LMAO. This girl that sat next to me would sit on her foot and pleasure herself all class. 6th grade me was very confused. 8th grade me witnessed a poor girl bleed through her pants in class and the teacher wouldn't let her go to the bathroom. My high school had a safe and sober grad night. Some kids thought it would be a great idea to take homemade edibles made by some kid's older brother. Flash forward a couple hours and kids start to get violently sick, like changing color and puking on the floor sick. About 4 hours into what should have been a whole night, it was called off as we no longer can guarantee that this night is either safe or sober. All this after members of the administration had just finished praising us for being one of the best classes in recent memory. No pregnancies, relatively few scandalous parties. Although we were the reason opaque water bottles were banned, the incident was hush-hush to save said older brother's college baseball scholarship. I will say that I am oblivious to signals from women, so there was a girl in my 11th grade science class that sat next to me and we used to talk all the time. She even came over to get help with school work and was touchy-feely and I was always like, what is wrong with you? Again very oblivious and shitty self-esteem. One day during winter in class she and I were talking and she said she got her clit pierced. I was like, no the you didn't, why do you lie so much? She then proceeded to unbutton and unzip her pants and shove my very cold hands down her pants. Yup, she pierced it, but she also screamed and stood up with my hands down her pants. The whole class saw and I was bright red. I was super embarrassed and got sent to the principal's office. But I felt a pussy, so win. 10th grade. One girl would wear no panties with a kilt and flash the class her asshole every now and then, bend over a desk and wiggle her hips and everything. High school ski trip. Group of guys were trying to convince a group of girls to flash them in the woods. Girls only agreed to do it if the guys flashed their peens first. Well, it was cold out, and the guys were worried about shrinkage. So cut to a shot of 6 or 7 high school boys furiously whacking off in the snow, while a group of bored girls stood and watched. Every week in junior school we would have an assembly and one class would have to put it on. It was our turn, and we had an autistic boy in our class. I forget what he was supposed to do since this was the 2nd grade. He walked up to the microphone with a big smile on his face and was about to speak to the entire school, teachers, some parents and every student there. Instead of talking he immediately dropped his pants and started spanking it. Everyone was pretty stunned, but when his special needs educator tried to take him off stage he resisted like crazy, all whilst still choking the chicken. I don't think anything else in my school career tops that. The usual handjobs, blowjobs, drug dealing, but those aren't that bad. We were hanging out in the gym before classes started and in walked a kid who recently dropped out when his sister was killed. I said, "Hey," and he kept walking like no one else was there. He walked over to a well-known moron and shoves a hidden blade into his gut and wrenches it up till his ribcage stopped the steel. He tossed the knife into a nearby trash can and walked out. The knifer got caught and the knife lived. Apparently the knife had been making fun of the knifer's dead sister. Knifer heard about it and came in to stab the knife. That's why you don't act like a dick. A student at my university caught a professor a girl over his desk on campus. He then proceeded to post it on Twitter. My old English teacher wrote and published erotica under a pen name. Through further digging, my class found her active BDSM blog and podcasts, which we would try to quote in class whenever possible. My friend put a condom on our teacher's water bottle while she wasn't looking. She only noticed as we were leaving. Good for you. Practicing safe sips. Just the sip. A guy at my school put a 8-inch dildo up his ass for an entire day at school as penance for cheating on his girlfriend. She did not ask him to do this. They were a weird couple. ... Did she accept that as penance? For some reason, yes. Weird people again.